Coming to you from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five. This is one of our segments where we get my buddy Big John Richards here and who's really well known in the upstate for his beer acumen, to pick a beer and we just kind of talk about it and discuss it. But before we get into that, a little bit of shameless self-promotion.
We want you to like us.
Yeah, we want you to like us. And what else we want to...
We want you to subscribe.
Yeah. So what you need to do is when you see the little thumbs up down at the bottom of the screen, click on that. And at the end of this video, you've got an opportunity to look at some other videos, but there's also a round icon, Beer to Whiskey icon. You can click on that. You'll be subscribed. A new episode goes live every Thursday at noon East Coast time. Enough of the foreplay. Big John, what do we have here?
We have a Fonta Flora beer from one of the really exciting up-and-coming breweries out of the Asheville area, North Carolina. This is one of their IPAs, which is outside of Russ's wheelhouse, but he's developing a taste for them, which I think is kind of fun.
It's not way outside. It's just sort of not what I would normally order.
So this is their, they call it a Mountain Man IPA. It's called Hop Beard, or they call it an Appalachian style IPA. And it's neat.
What does Appalachian
I think they're trying to make that happen.
Oh.
That sounds like something they're trying to invent.
Okay.
Which I'm in favor of. Especially if they start to taste like this. That's
fine.
Because I had a tiny sip of it before we went on camera, and I thought at first maybe I was looking at a New England style IPA, but it's not quite that. It is very juicy, very citrusy and tropical, like kiwi fruit and lime in addition to the grapefruit, I think. And it's got a bitter bite to it. Here's to it. And it's not an aggressive bitter bite, but it is a persistent bitter bite the whole way through. It's clean and it's really refreshing, and it's clearly doesn't have much in the way of a malt backbone. As you're looking at it, you can see how almost straw colored it is, really kind of that burnished gold.
Is this an unfiltered beer?
It is an unfiltered beer. As you look at a beer, if you can make your fingers dance behind it and not see them move, it's
so you're going to do that again, aren't you? Huh?
Right, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's like, yeah, okay. There's something that's on the back of my tongue which feels like grapefruit, but is that what it is?
Probably is.
Okay.
I get that too. There's a little bit of that pithy sort of grapefruit flavor that feels like you're licking the inside of a grapefruit peel.
Yeah,
and that's very much in the back and on the finish, but it's really, really juicy up front. It's very light-bodied. It's really refreshing. Man, I could picture drinking one of these sitting under an umbrella on a hot day, just enjoying the crap out of my time.
And he almost never does that.
I know, it's strange.
He's a really serious guy. And
yeah.
He never takes any time off. So who's the brewer?
Fonta Flora is the brewer, and they're really much more known.
And what's the name of the beer?
Mountain Man. Actually, I think it's called Hop Beard, although it's kind of hard for me to tell looking at how they named it. But Hop Beard Mountain Man IPA might be the full name, proper full name of the beer.
So Fonta Flora, where are they?
Fonta Flora. Okay.
Fonta Flora. Where
you should know. You're from Florida. You should know how to pronounce that word.
Are they from Florida?
No, they're from Williamston, North Carolina.
Well, see, that's
Asheville.
why. That's it exactly.
How is Fonta Flora not a Florida thing?
I don't know. Apparently, it's not because they're out of North Carolina. Jeez, oh Pete.
Yep.
So, and what? Tell me a little bit about the brewery.
It's just a fun diversion for you folks.
Yeah, it's an all-day thing for us.
Right. Fonta Flora is a fairly new, but really exciting, I guess, to the scene brewer. They're much more well known for saisons and some of their funky sour stuff, and barrel-aged
That's
projects.
why I haven't heard from them.
Probably so.
That's why I don't know who they are.
I think this is the first IPA I remember seeing from Fonta Flora, and it's delicious. So I'm really pleased that they were able to hit that on this. A lot of people can't verge off their path well.
Get off of sours and do something that tastes good? Is that what you're saying?
Sort of something like that.
Okay. All right.
But I think they really have something here. This is a wonderful beer.
It's a summer beer. It's a warm weather beer, and I get that.
So in comparison to, like I said, when it was first poured for me and I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's going to be a New England IPA because it's all hazy and it's clearly unfiltered and light colored, and you smell it and it's all citrus. When you taste it with the New Englands, you get so little upfront bitterness at all, and so much acidity in the finish that it's just like drinking juice. Sometimes it feels like you're really just drinking orange juice, not beer at all. And this comes off a lot more with that beer hoppy bitterness that cleans up the back edge of this thing so much and it leaves you with a little acidity, some of that tartness of like the lime and the kiwi fruit flavors, but much more balanced as far as I'm concerned than a lot of the New England IPAs get to be.
So in a New England IPA, what would I be looking for? So how is this different?
Well, and that's sort of what I was getting at before. Maybe I didn't explain it properly. With the New England,
I'm a little dense.
You were really getting the fruit, only the fruit up front, typically, and you were getting an acidity on the finish versus a hop bitterness. And so with the New England, instead of, like, if you put hops in at the beginning of your boil, you're going to get bitterness out of them. And if you put them in the middle, you're going to get some flavors and some aromas and some bitterness. If you put them in at the very end, you're just going to get mostly aroma. And with the New England IPAs, a lot of them don't put hops in at all during the boil until there's like a minute and a half left.
Really?
They throw them all in right then, and they don't get any of the hop oils to dissolve in there, so you're left with almost none of the bitterness, the alpha acid bitterness. You are left with just the aroma compounds that dissolve into the beer, and they yank it all out and then do some dry hopping, some fermentation hopping, and you have a very flavorful beer, but with almost no real bitterness.
We may be able to talk about this in a 101 episode at some point, but how does that differ from a West Coast IPA?
A West Coast IPA is going to throw 60 or 70% of its hops in at the very beginning of the boil.
Okay.
And so the hop buds all have a hop oil globules in them, and the
globules.
Hop,
I don't want to drink globules,
right?
But
some of us do. They dissolve into the beer, and those have all the alpha and beta acids, and alpha acids are the more desirable ones, and so alpha acids are what you're actually measuring when you measure IBUs.
Okay.
So with your West Coast IPAs, you're going for a higher IBU number and a bigger straight up bitterness in the beer, and you typically have to throw a lot more malts into there to balance it down, so you get a more amber colored beer than a more golden colored beer like this.
All right.
And then with the New England IPA, you throw none of the hops in at the beginning. With this one, there's probably a mix. You've thrown a little bit in at the beginning, probably some in the middle, and then another bigger dose at the end. If I had to make a guess, I don't know exactly how they brewed this particular beer.
I couldn't have. It just tastes like beer to me, sort of. But that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anything else we should know?
It's a great question. Come to the Southeast. That's where all the good beer's happening right now, guys. It's kind of exciting down here right now.
There is a lot of good things happening in the Southeast in terms of beer. Greenville itself, how many breweries do we have here now?
I think we're still growing. We still have to grow into our beer culture.
Right.
I believe we're at 12 right now and have 6 more to open before the end of the year.
And 5 years ago, there were 4.
Yeah, no, 5 years ago, there was 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's things in Greenville, things are happening big time.
And then, of course, you all know about Asheville.
Asheville
But
is
look at the
huge.
surrounding areas and some of the breweries that are
Yeah.
popping up in Georgia and Alabama even. And
Yep.
Tennessee's got some great stuff going on.
Yep.
And we have, of course, Charleston and Greenville and Columbia doing really wonderful things.
And so where you come to get a little bit of all of that is Barley's Tap Room.
That's right.
Which is beer headquarters in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm just saying.
Barley's has a couple times been nationally rated as a top 10 beer bar in the country.
Is that right?
That's 100% right.
See? So with that, my
There we
friend,
go. Here's
Texas
to
and
it.
Miss Lily, we'll see you next time.
Very good.